Hello, so this is going to be part 4 of the series of video clips that I've been making, and we'll be talking a little bit about the VR application space. In the previous clip, I discussed why it's difficult to dismiss 2D and as a medium for representing information or even for interacting with information. And now we are going to look at 3D and the advantages that this additional dimension brings to the table. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. Okay, let's look at basically what are applications that makes good use of 3D. You can see the application that I'm using right now it's a 3D application, but I'm using it in a 2D way as a presentation app. Just to give you, just to let you know what's going on with this tool I'm using, and it's implemented in OpenSim, and we're actually using it for the purpose of this presentation. So let's look at applications that have obvious advantages, and what that makes good use of 3D. Okay, and the first example I would pick would be architecture, and because it's fairly obvious. So you can have architects and 3D designers create a virtual building that the user can get immersed in very easily and get a sense of the space and the lighting, and can even walk around. And the ability to have people log into a 3D space and discuss about the artifacts in that space is obviously very, very useful. And could become a very important part of the whole design workflow from the ideation phase to the end product. Okay, so the 3D provides a way to represent ideas and even intangible stuff like what you would feel if you were immersed in such environments. And there's a word that describes how we use space as a context for brainstorming, and it's spatial ideation. We most typically use spatial ideations in 3D design, but it can also have applications in other domains. So, for example, if you are planning, a traffic for people entering or leaving a stadium, there is an element of spatial ideation that goes in there too. Okay, so you could have a virtual reality version of a stadium, of people inside the stadium, and then you can develop protocols for safely routing people in and out of a common space. Another example would be if you are designing a 3D museum, you can have designers think about how they would distribute their exhibits in that 3D space, and that's obviously very useful. I think in addition to allowing your artifacts to be displayed in a most optimal way through a series of iterative design steps in a virtual environment, you can use even that environment to increase the reach of your content. So you have a 3D world that's helping you design better an end product that's going to be there in the real world, but it also provides the opportunity to increase access. Let's see. So there are also other areas where being able to visualize the spatial relationships between object parts is very important. Just take an example of isomers in chemistry. If you look at how a molecule is made and how the atoms are organized spatially in that molecule, you will see that you will better understand why some molecules have different properties, even though if they have the same components. So that's just an example where 3D visualization becomes very important, and having the ability to represent those molecules in a 3D world and have people log in together and explore together, it's a big advantage. And of course, one of the most, at least in the beginning, celebrated aspect of training in virtual worlds is that it's safe. So you have, flight simulators that allows pilots to train in safe environments, and they don't need to worry too much about crashing the plane in a real world. So there's a basic safety issue. The second thing is that such environments provides better opportunities for tracking user performance, because you're already in a software. It's very easy to track the behavior and the activities of your trainees, and all that data becomes could be used to power your quantitative evaluation of their competency. All right, so those are basically obvious advantages. You see if I have missed anything, and you can see that normally my style of presentation is, even when I was creating this, I was just throwing pictures on this board, and because that's how I think. It's mainly like a free flow style, really. I don't know if I've talked about virtual therapy yet, but that's another domain where a lot of work has been done. And most of it has been in, as we will see, in the mental health domain. But you can also have virtual reality therapies in the physical health domain, where you are using virtual reality to motivate a patient to increase his or her range of motion, and that would be an example. And let me see here if I have any example of virtual reality therapies for exposure therapy. I don't have any picture of that, but in most cases, there are a lot of virtual reality applications that make use of environments that would help patients deal with their fear response. So you would have a virtual environment that would represent a situation that's scary, and you want the patient to deal with the emotions that are triggered, and to deal with the fear, basically the fear response, and try to recondition the mind so that the response are not disabling. Then, of course, if we look at the more mass market oriented applications, it's predominantly in the gaming realm, and you'll have a whole range of reasons why those environments tend to be popular. You have a big chunk of people who want to escape from reality, from time to time. And you might remember, like for a long time, maybe 10 years back, Second Life was very popular, and a lot of people use it for role playing. And you also have, even today, lots of virtual communities are involved in listening to music together. So those are the kind of activities that are popular. You also have games such as Fortnite, who have been able to combine building with shoot them up, style of gaming, and they are quite popular, and this has given rise to many interesting phenomena, I would say. So you can see a lot of YouTube clips posted about how to build efficiently, etc. Because building is part of the gaming. Okay, you build in order to defend yourself, or protect yourself, or maybe to launch better attacks, etc. So that's kind of interesting. There's one application space, because I've just seen the picture here. If you want to go back to the serious application domain, is immersive language learning. That's a good example where the spatial context is very, very important, and that's one domain that I think is going to be a nice niche market in the 3D application space. So in conclusion, what we are finding is that there's a lot of social cues that can still survive when we represent people, users, as avatars in a 3D medium. And that's why I think that there is an attraction for 3D worlds when it comes to what we call social applications. So I'll stop here on this. I tried to paint a big, broad picture of the 3D application space, and in the next clip, I will talk about the interfaces that are used to access these environment, and the problems and opportunities that come with these devices. So thanks for attention, and I'll see you in the next clip.